Well, post-war with Evloev at UFC 310 with me today, Aljamain Sterling. How we feeling post-fight week, man?
Overall, I felt pretty good. I mean, the performance I think was a fun one. It was a good one for the fans. I think it answered a lot of questions about Evloev and myself, and I think it silenced a lot of the critics in regards to the entertainment value of grappling. It's just usually if someone's just out there trying to survive and they're not trying to make it entertaining, it's not going to really be entertaining if the other party doesn't really want it to be, unless you can get to a dominant position early where you can rain down some heavy strikes and they just have no clue how to defend, then maybe you'll have a one-sided ass whooping. But overall good fight. I feel like I was kind of stiffed a little bit though. I don't know.
You talking about the scorecards?
Yeah, I thought at worst it was a draw. I mean, if you're gonna say I didn't win, because this guy's throwing little rabbit punches, like not even like damaging shots. They're what I call busy punches, is what we call for the optics of the judging.
Yeah.
So it's they're not impactful shots whatsoever. I don't want it to come off as salty because it's not salty. It's just I fight. I know what you're trying to do, and I know the game that you're playing. So it's a little frustrating because the judges, they don't actually understand that because they don't really train. And if they do train, they're not very well versed in all of the martial arts to understand the aspects of MMA. And um, but again, maybe that's on me for not understanding the or not playing to the optics a little bit more. But it is what it is. Overall, I thought this at worst the fight should have been a draw.
Well, I don't think you're alone. I think the judging was kind of all over the place that night, especially if you look at, Alexander Volkov losing. I think that was the most obvious on the card. People were like, what is going on? So, judging's still an issue. It remains an issue. Do you see a way to fix it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe these guys gotta go in there and get into some of these sequences. And I think it's apparent because it might come off as obviously it's my fight, so I'm speaking on that. But then if you look at the Volkov Gane fight, they clearly didn't know what they were looking at in the sequences because if they did, they would understand what they were judging. And again, it's the optics. So they're looking at what they think it looks like versus what it actually is happening in the fight. And I think I don't know if there's any way to fix it other than them getting in there and understanding the nuances, because then they will understand the judging a little bit better themselves. And it's not a knock. It's positive feedback to give them some direction if they really want to improve the scoring criteria. Or uh, and again, it's nothing wrong with the scoring criteria. It's the people scoring it.
Yeah.
Um, One of the coaches and I, we talked about this, and they were like, if I were to judge a animal competition on dogs or I don't know airplanes, it's like I only know so much. Like you could give me the criteria, but I only know so much of understanding what I'm looking at.
Right.
So of course the what may be more beneficial to someone who's actually involved in it day in and day out is not going to be the same as someone who's just been given a criteria, look at all these things and then just judge it based on that. I just don't have all the information.
Yeah, I think some experience will go a very long way with those people. I mean, you see it with like refs, like Herzog, for example, black belt in jiu-jitsu. It goes a long way. He sees what to look for in a fight. So to judges to do that, I think should be a freaking requirement. But Aljo, in our first interview in the lead up to this fight, it was an interesting lead up, right? I mean, cancellation, reschedule. There were some accusations of potential PEDs, but then in the fight, you're the one to grab this man underneath both arms, hoist him up WWE style, and throw him down. So, have you gotten any juice accusations after that one?
I mean, I was getting them beforehand, but my story is still the same. No one's ever accused me of saying like I've been in circles and having conversations with people telling them how to do it or telling them where to get product or things like that. And that's just non-existent. Those are all, if anyone were to ever say anything like that, those are all fairy tales because they don't exist. There's no one out there who can ever say anything like that because I've never even uttered those words to anybody ever in my life. In terms of him, I don't know. I mean, again, like I said, we're going to compete, and I still think I'm better. And even after the fight, I still think I'm better. Yeah, I might have the loss on my column, but I still think I was the better fighter that night. Or at least I don't feel like I was the loser. Like I don't know. So whether or not he's on stuff, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of guys that still do stuff, and they find ways to get through the testing criteria. In my mind, it was just we're just gonna figure out who's better as a fighter, and that's it. Whether or not he has enhancements, I don't know exactly because again, I wasn't in the rooms with these conversations. This is just hearsay what people share with me from conversation that they apparently have had with people in those circles. So again, I don't know. And that was what I want to make people look. So it's not like I was saying like he's definitely doing something. Um, I was
Right.
pointing out that, hey man, there seems to be a little smoke where people are saying that you're doing something. So are you doing something? I mean, I don't know. But again, I wouldn't be able to say for sure because I just wouldn't know.
My last question about Evloev. You guys obviously seem very cordial afterwards, a lot of respect shown, but just based on how you feel about the scorecards and it being a fun fight, like, is that one you'd ever like to run back?
Oh, 100%. I mean, now that Ilia's going up, I mean, that could have arguably been a 5 round title fight for a vacant title for the featherweight division. But I mean, now we fought already. It was a super close fight. A lot of people are still split on it, and I think it's only fair and only right that we did it again and really get a definitive answer, whether it's one sided my way or one sided his way in a rematch, um, or someone gets a finish and just we be able to figure it out that way. But if not, definitely down the road. And I don't know. I'm thinking I would like to make a March return if I do get a fight for March, April the latest. I mean, I would like to fight Arnold Allen or fight Brian Ortega. Um, I don't think that loss to Mosar should push me down the rankings.
No.
If anything, I don't. I almost feel like it should be treated as a W or I don't know. It's weird to say like that because it comes off as I don't know. It might come off as a little funny to people to hear me say that, but that's honestly just how I feel. I feel I shouldn't have to go fighting down the rankings after being 1-on-1 and losing to a guy that people are saying is going to be the next champion in a fight that a lot of people still think I won. So it's like, what are we even talking about? It's not like I'm being disrespectful or I'm being delusional. It's just what the actual facts are. It's just man, it's a little frustrating, but I think a March return would be nice. I want to stay busy, especially while I can. This is like the first time I've actually been the majority of the like post fight healthy, so I want to take advantage of that.
You said Arnold Allen and Ortega, so let me put my matchmaking cap on. You say March too. UFC is going to London in March. Would you be interested behind enemy lines taking on Arnold Allen in London?
I mean, I got to do what I got to do. I mean, he's coming off a win. I'm coming off of a loss, so I guess it would be fair. If I have to go, I have to go. I'd be more than willing to play spoiler. And I like the UK fans. They great support system for me. They tune in and watch the fights. I always get a lot of DMs and tweets from those guys. So I know it would be kind of shitty to fight one of their own, but sometimes that's what you got to do in this game.
And it doesn't always have to be bad blood. I can't imagine Arnold Allen being much of a shit talker, right?
No, he's kind of a quirky guy. It seems like he's different persona. Seems a little. I don't want to say goofy, but kind of got a little. He's a funny guy. He doesn't seem to take things too serious, and that's my type of guy. Someone who's more chill, more relaxed, and we're already in a serious sport, so we don't need to be all uptight all the time, 100% all the time, just serious.
You seen the chill guy memes? That's Arnold Allen. In the
Yeah,
pocket. Yeah, that's Arnold Allen right there, bro.
yeah.
And why Ortega? What about Ortega makes that interesting? Just the styles?
Styles, name value, and of course he's higher ranked than me. If Ortega was ranked lower than me, I wouldn't even I wouldn't even bother to call him out. That wouldn't make any sense. But because these guys are higher than me, it's like I would like to fight up the rankings and put myself in a position where I guess I could get back in the title contention. So it would just be fighting up the ranks. that's all I really care about. I think Yair Rodriguez is already booked with Diego Lopez or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so there's already some matches that are made or potentially being made. So I don't know if they'll give me Diego Lopez, and I don't know if they'll give me Yair at this point, even though I think we're both coming off of a loss now. So I don't know. It's a weird spot for the division, especially with Ilya saying he's gonna go up. Hopefully he does fight Volk before he vacates, and not leave the division completely wrecked.
Mhm.
That'd be nice.
Two left here. One is about Ilia moving up there. Like, if you are Mick Made or Dana White, the squad, who do you make that? I don't know. Let's say he does vacate. Who gets that into or that vacated title shot?
I think Diego Lopez is probably a shoe-in just based on the hype around him. If I'm the matchmakers, that's probably what I'm looking at. Um, but I'm also looking at Volkanovski. If Ilya's not going to fight again, I think it has to be Diego Lopez and Volk. I think
Good
that would make
fight.
the most sense. And then I guess Mosar has to fight again, and voila.
Maybe a little title eliminator between you two to fight the winner of that one.
Yeah, I would like it to be 5 rounds though. I would like it to
We
be
all
five
would.
rounds.
We all would.
Yeah,
I think everybody in T-Mobile could use another two rounds of that one. It was a banger. So thank you for that, Aljo. But last
yeah.
question from me.
I,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm glad I got to make him look human because it seemed like a lot of people thought he was like invincible, and I keep trying to tell these guys like the Dagestani, Russian, Eastern European guys, they're good grapplers, but they're fighting majority of strikers and guys that have no grappling,
Right.
no jiu-jitsu. So the pushback is almost little to none. And especially in a weight class that we're in, we're more skilled overall, where you start to see that taper off at 55 and above, where it's a lot more one-sided fights for those guys. And now you got Merab who's going to fight Umar, and a lot of people think Umar is this invincible guy, and it's going to be another similar fight between myself and Mosar. And people are going to see like, okay, these guys are good, but they're like everybody else, man. We're all human. We can all be beat. Everyone has a number. You just have to make sure you're doing the right type of work. And if you're not, and eventually down the line, you're going to fight one of these guys, make sure you're preparing yourself for that style. Even if you're not fighting that style, make sure you put some pennies in the bank because eventually you're going to have to cross that bridge. And for you to play catch up over the majority of a lifetime of skills for these guys and try to catch up in a training camp in 8 to 10 weeks, you're doing yourself a real disservice. And that's why I was very confident coming into that fight with Mosa because I knew I just had the skill set and the tools to beat a guy like that because I truly believe American wrestling, because we wrestle on the mat, top and bottom, I have a really good style for beating guys like that. And I think Bo Nickel's a very similar dude. He might not have the striking to back it up, but if you grapple with this guy, he will put you in some very bad situations. And I am hopeful that one day we get to see him versus Hamzat because I'm not saying he beats Hamza, but I do think in the grappling situations, people are going to be pleasantly surprised because he's really that good.
Oh, Bo and Hamzat would be a great fight. Couple more wins from Bo, and I think he's right there. And my last question, Aljo, talk to me about it. Merab and Umar, how's that one going down?
I think it's gonna be a fun fight, high pace. I can see Umar trying to slow the fight down because anyone who tries to keep up with the pace of Merab, they tend to gas out. It's going to be interesting to see how Umar tries to do that. He's going to try to keep the distance, try to use those teep kicks, the teep kicks to the face. He's got a nice question mark kick, but he hits a lot of those things on guys that are stationary targets. Merab's never really a stationary target. I think he's going to have a much more difficult time. This is my guy calling me right now.
You're good. That was good timing. If you
Uh,
got to go, you can go.
but overall, I think it's going to be a good fight. So I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for him. I do wish it was a little bit later. I won't shy away from saying that, but he agreed to the contract, so we got to make sure we do the right work. Unlike myself in the O'Malley fight, Merab wasn't injured, um, and he doesn't party and drink. So
Might be a
there's a
factor.
unique difference between turnaround times for guys like us and guys like Merab.
Anything you want to say to the fans before I get you out of here?
Man, just I really appreciate all the support, even in a loss. I felt a lot of love, and I felt like a lot of people were rallying behind me, and it was cool to see that. It reminds me of my fight before Sanhagen and after Sanhagen, before all the PDon nonsense. So it was good for people to be reminded of how good I actually am, and it reminds me of how good I actually am. So I appreciate all the support, all the people who actually purchased some Funk Harbor. That was really cool to see so much support coming in from the website, people purchasing the product, and hopefully we're back in March. So stay tuned for the Funk Show.
Love it, man. Aljamain Sterling, thank you so much for the time. Stay out of trouble. No more fighting FedEx drivers, all right?
That wasn't me.